Hello everyone. A couple of weeks ago, we discussed the issue bordering on Tax Ombud. And in that particular video, I mentioned that there are some jurisdictions that are already leveraging this initiative for a couple of years. I think I mentioned South Africa, as an example of such jurisdiction. Some people engage me to say, oh, they don't believe in this. Who is going to be paying the tax ombud? It's not the government. If it is the government, then the person that plays the piper will definitely dictate the tune. And there are other interesting things in other adjoining provisions from a different act that I want us to consider today. Oladejo Adeyemi is my name, and I remain your foremost business coach that designates it's time to read in the tax law so that you don't have to spend as much time. So let's take it even further. When you look at beyond what you have in the provision of the Nigeria Tax Administration Act, the provisions of the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Act of Nigeria 2025 rather, specifies how exactly the establishment of the office of the tax ombud would work. And it's interesting to know that maybe about section 36 to maybe 49, a lot of provisions that you have there, dealing with establishment of the office of the tax ombud, appointment of the ombud, cessation of the tenure, the powers and the function of the ombud, conflict of interest, what we constitute conflict of interest. Now, in addition to all of these provisions, the third schedule to this particular act, which is the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Act, also is dedicated to the procedures relating to complaints, relating to recommendation, for the ombud. You see, I know that in Nigeria, there have been a lot of attempts in the past, to make things right. But we cannot always kill every initiative before it even starts. We have to keep an open mind and believe and assume that things are going to work just as the law specifies. Now, my take is if the ombud initiative works exactly as all of these provisions, remember you have the originating provision from the provisions of the Nigeria Tax Administration Act. Then when you come to the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Act, you would also see plethora of provisions there specifying different things with respect to how this would work. And I'll give you an example. There's a particular provision, in that section. I think it is that third schedule or even the third schedule, for instance, where you have the procedure of the tax office. So the law does not expect the tax ombud to just take action in any haphazard manner. The law specifies that if it has to do with complaint, for instance, a person may lodge a complaint with the office of the tax ombud in writing or through any other means or platform as may be provided by the office of the tax ombud. And a complainant shall only lodge complaint with the tax office of the ombud if the issue is unresolved by the relevant agencies. So the law says, don't just jump to the tax ombud. So don't say, oh, they've written you that the tax authority has written you, for instance, that an audit is going to be conducted. You cannot just jump to the tax ombud and say, I don't want this audit to be conducted, and then you start asking for assistance. No. The issue must have been adjudged as unresolved. Maybe you don't want the audit to be conducted, maybe you don't have the time or the resources or whatever it is, such details are specified in the provisions of the law. The law also says that where the office of the ombud finds a complaint to be false or misleading in any material respect, it may strike out or disregard such complaint. So there is also room for the office to say, well, this complaint we have investigated, There are subsequent provisions that require investigation of the ombudsman, for every complaint that is laid. It's also contained in that third schedule, of this particular act, to say that the authenticity of any complaint made is going to be verified, before resources of the states, of the government are deployed towards assisting the taxpayer. Now, this video is to expatiate on how the running of the tax ombud would work. And it's important to draw up such expatiation at this point because I've heard a lot of comments in the direction of disbelief or mistrust, saying that it's not going to be different. And I just feel maybe we don't even understand what the law says. If you understand what the law says and how the law intends that this should work, maybe this will introduce just a different dimension to how our relationship with the tax authorities as a business community, has ensued over the years. And we hope that this will be a positive introduction when everyone continues to play his or her part. Until I come your way again, I remain Oladejo Adeyemi, and this is Insight to Oladejo. Don't forget to share, to like, to subscribe, and to continue to spread this such that we have a business community that is enlightened in terms of tax and regulatory matters. Bye for now.